Mic drop. Hello everyone. Hopefully that's working this time. We don't have a bad microphone connected. How is everyone doing? I've got the special T-shirt because sending it south possibly next week with maybe a few wintry risks. But of course we are looking at not too widespread conditions for like cold, snow, all that sort of stuff, but there will be some around, and we'll have a look at the latest today. Hopefully everyone's doing well. I'll have like a read of the chat. I can see there's loads of you already in here, which is nice to see. Make sure to get them likes up if you are, and if you are new around here, to consider subscribing to the channel. I do appreciate your continued support. And yeah, we're going to be looking at the latest today. Hopefully it's just some good fun. Obviously, if you want to join the Discord and all that stuff, I'll plug this really early. If you want to join the Discord or anything, then the links will be, hopefully James can, or one of the moderators, can put some links in the chat for me. I greatly appreciate it. I can send you one. But yeah, we'll get straight on with things today. Have a little look at the snow and also the stratospheric developments because they're looking pretty interesting. So I'm just going to go out to YouTube and, wow, there's 45 of you in here. Wow, that's pretty crazy. Hello to everyone. I'm just going to put the chat out so I can read it as I go along. Looks like a big stream, this, though. But yeah, I can see loads of... Bab, calm down. It's been 1 minute and 32 seconds. Well... That gets a cup of tea from me. Yeah, congratulations to everyone that's received one. That's pretty crazy. I do appreciate it as always, Bob. You know I do. You know I do. Yeah, we'll have a read through the chat then, and we'll see who's in here, and then we'll get on with things. So, first person in was Laura. Hello to you. The other Laura Johnson, the Trend and Nature Show. Got Criff Beast as well, who's always joining the stream. Then we've got the top mods such as Andrew James and Danny V. They always do a great job moderating the chat. We've got some new names in here as well, which is really nice to see. Fisk as well, that random guy, Frog Legs. Good evening, all damp and drizzly. Yeah, it's not been great here. It's been a bit drizzly all day, if we're looking properly. Hobby to Hustle Official, hello to you. Hopefully you're doing well as well. Geordie, hello to you. Chris A, Earthheart, Oscar King, On the Rise 25. Tons of names in here. It's really nice to see all of your names. Apparently it just disconnected, but I'm not too sure what happened there. We will see snow finally. Yeah, it depends where you are, Abdi. But congratulations to, I'm going to have to zoom in, Newcastle fan, Faye Freeman, David, Go West, and Jake. Congratulations on receiving a 1 month membership. Hello to Fox Fight Plays. I've got Nathan Richardson. I've seen you on Twitter as well. Hello to you. And Axel as well. Got some new names in it. It's really nice to see. We'll have a look at the latest model data and then I'll line it up with the latest snow data. There will be a lot of mixing, by the way, because the air masses are a little bit touch and go as to whether we see snow or not this time because, we've got to consider it is the middle of November, It's not like last year where the cold was properly in place. There's a low pressure system sinking through it. So we'll just have to wait and see. But we'll run through the latest GFS 12 Z, the midday run, to see what it is showing. Josh says, have a beer on me. Cheers, Josh. Do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, we've got the GFS first. High pressure ridging out in the Atlantic, allowing colder northerly winds to sink southwards by the weekend, the last part of the weekend, so Sunday and Monday. We're all in the -5 line. We're all in cold air. If you wonder what the threshold for cold is in the UK, it basically just is the -5 line, is what I'd consider. You can see, though, at this point, Monday and Tuesday are mostly dry, but an area of low pressure, a low forms in the flow, and that begins to move southwards through the country. But with this GFS run, it's positioned quite far northwards as it pushes through, though. On its northern side, we could see rain, sleet, and snow showers pushing through as that low clears out into the north, well, out to the east of the UK, and we pull the wind back into a northerly direction. I'm just going to get a quick sip of water. Come prepared today. Cheers, ma'am. But yeah, you can see northeasterly wind taking hold, so pretty cool / cold, and a few wintry showers scattered in the north and the east. Before, as we go beyond that, higher pressure returns back to the south. It is changeable, it is quite cool from the west-northwest, so nothing exactly groundbreaking in terms of temperatures, but probably warming up a little bit into the higher single digits to lower teens in the south. You can see generally kind of like a west-northwesterly flow continues. It doesn't look anything too mild until the very end, 1st of December, and would you know it, we're into the start of winter and we have low pressure systems pushing in from off the Atlantic. But you can see some blocking evident to the north, so up towards Greenland. That's pushing low pressure systems southwards. That could have an influence later on. But just for fun, we'll have a look at the GFS run to see the precipitation type for the next couple, over that cold spell period. So we'll start, as you can see, on Monday. By Tuesday, we've got a low pressure system, or like a weather front pushing in to the north. There you go. You can see low pressure system up to the north, bringing in some winteriness over the Scottish mountains, such as James's Shed, Ben Nevis, your highest points. And as that low's pushing through the country, you can see very heavy snow over the Scottish Glens, and you can see some over northern England as well, the Yorkshire Dales, and possibly some over the highest points in parts of South Wales and the West Midlands as well. Most of that's rain, but some of that, again, precipitation types could be snow. As that low pressure clears to the east, you can see wintry showers behind it, and you do see like a bit of a system moving through on Thursday. 9 a.m. Thursday could produce a little bit of winteriness for the Midlands northwards, possibly. But a bit touch and go with that, even a few showers grazing the southeast. Gotta say, southeast, I'm not too sure if you're going to see much, guys, down there. Possibly, could be a few wintry showers, a few flurries mixed into a rain shower, but I really think it's a little bit too early for anything significant down there. But you can see then after that, low pressure begins to push in from off the Atlantic for the north of the UK, so we get maybe a brief transition to snow through Friday into Saturday. Bit of timing difference with this, but again, this is just one model run. There is some variation, but you can see there are some winter risks around. It's just the exact extent is quite uncertain. Now, the GEM's a very interesting one today. This one would excite some cold fans. I'll be honest, it would excite some people, this run. But yeah, we'll have a look at it now. So, higher pressure retrogressing in the Atlantic up towards Greenland. Low pressure systems sinking through the country. Tuesday into Wednesday. Again, could produce some snow on its northern edge. A lot of cold rain, though, for many parts in the south and southeast. And then as that low clears to the east, winds are back into a direct northerly. So cold for all with wintry showers, particularly in the north and the east. Now, with the GEM, it actually keeps it quite cold. And we get low pressure systems on a northwest-southeast alignment. And what that allows is for a bit of snow, maybe for the far south, actually, south coast. By day 10, winds are in from a northeasterly direction to easterly direction, with higher pressure being sent to Scandi, and winds are into an easterly direction. Looks pretty cold, actually, but I must say, this surely got to be an outlier. I really can't imagine that coming off, seeing as we're breaking down the cold spell by the 21st. I can't imagine the cold air returning, but I suppose anything is possible. Looking at the precipitation type with the GEM run, you can see widespread winteriness on Tuesday, which I highly doubt, I'm just saying. It's a very low resolution model, this, so little patches of snow look like massive snow events on the GEM, the Canadian model. You can see wintry showers definitely possible in northern areas, particularly scattering northern Scotland, maybe parts of northern England, with a north-easterly tilt, maybe dragging a few showers further inland into central Britain, and possibly in the Midlands, a few maybe even in the southeast, but again, to discount that. But you can see, there you go, there's that feature on Friday and Saturday. Could be a little bit of snow on its northern edge there. And we've got little features pushing through, and you can see by the end, so by Monday the 24th, again another few snow showers pushing in from the east. A pretty cold easterly wind takes back over, and a few wintry flurries possible. Probably some cold rain for those. Further south, because again, got to consider the air masses aren't really cold enough for the time of year to see anything too widespread in nature. But then moving on to the ECMWF, and I'm going to have a quick speed through the chat, see how everyone's getting on. Hello to Rachel Loxham. Jodie says she wants some snow in the east. Well, if you're not on the immediate coast, Jodie, you could actually see some. It does actually look like there'll be quite a lot of wintry showers around, but we'll have to wait and see. Cheers, Rachel, for smashing the like button. Hello, home from a Christmas event. Oh, nice one, Sue. It's a bit early for that, isn't it? It's a bit early for that. Nah, I'm joking. Yeah, what is going on with that? Anyway, love my new blanket. Oh, I heard you got a yellow blanket, Rachel. Hope you do enjoy that. Yeah, great to see all the names in here, though. It's nice to see everyone. And remember, if you are not subscribed, do it. Subscribe to the channel. We do these regularly. John's saying send it to Skinthorpe? Scunthorpe? Yeah, I'll give it a go, John. I'll see what I can do. Nathan's on the east coast, about 30 miles inland. You might fare quite well, Nathan, to be fair, when I show you the UKV, the UK Masterfist run. Does look quite good for that, to be honest, particularly in the east-northeast. But I'll show you that in a minute. We'll run through the ECMWF very quickly. Again, very similar pattern, a low pressure system. Sliding southwards Tuesday into Wednesday. Again, on its northern flank as it clears into the North Sea. We could see some wintry showers for central northern Britain, maybe along the east coast as it clears away. But again, uncertainty on that. And we'll have a look at that again on the ECM run, see what it's showing in a minute. By day 10, though, actually looks quite cold again. So the runs are definitely having a mess around. We're trying to develop heights again back up, or maintaining heights up just to the north towards Iceland, because that's still pretty cold. Winds in from like an east-northeasterly, a very slack gradient. Nothing too major, but pretty cold. Could be some overnight frost. No snow. It could be some overnight frost, though. It does look quite cold there. Maybe the cold won't go away as fast as was expected. Now, I am going to quickly just go on here, and then I'll type in WX charts, and I'll show you the latest ECM run, the precipitation type, because I can show you that now on here. Got about 70 of you in here. Cheers all for tuning in. No, it's not a regular thingy video. It's a proper regular video, but hope you're all enjoying the stream. Now, with the ECM, you can see very much widespread snow through Tuesday for particularly the east and the northeast parts of, the Midlands, parts of the east. So it looks pretty widespread there. You know, you can see the central southern belt of Scotland, extending into central Scotland, and parts of the west, maybe even the Isle of Skye, getting a few flurries mixed in. Pretty rare up there, but there you go. But you can see on the back edge of that low, a few showers may turn wintry. You can see quite a lot of widespread snow showers. If you look in the east, there's a few showers peppering the east coast, maybe along the far north, like James has shared. And you can see it's pretty cold there, pretty wintry. I wouldn't be surprised if a few areas did see a dusting, dusting to a covering, even to lower levels at times, but they will be very, very temporary accumulations. And I expect that in the east, possibly the southeast, maybe Suffolk, and possibly parts of Wales as well, like Cardiff. But I'm not really expecting anything too major, but you never know. Anywhere could see falling snow for a time, or the snow mixed into a sleet shower, growlpool, hail, any of that sort of stuff could be seen, just because the air is quite cold from the Arctic. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, the ECM looks pretty encouraging for most areas there. Could see a covering in places. So yeah, that's that one. And finally, the ECM Artificial Intelligence run completely disagrees with its counterpart, the ECM Operational. Much more developed low pressure system sliding southwards on Tuesday. Into Wednesday, that clears into the North Sea, and we're back into that cold northerly wind. And then after that, you can see, again, does turn briefly colder for the 23rd of November with a brief easterly flow. Nothing too ridiculous, though, but does bring some colder air back for the south. And beyond that, much more unsettled westerly flow, west-southwesterly flow. Higher pressure centred over France, lower pressure to the northwest, and winds in from a southwesterly direction. It's a pretty mild on that one. Now, there's a reason why the conditions are going to change back to a westerly flow, and that is due to this, the NAO. Remember, if it's in a negative phase, then we are expecting blocking patterns to develop up to the northwest. And if we see a positive NAO, we expect lower pressure sitting to the north, high pressure to the south. That's your typical regime. Doesn't always work like that, but you can see that with the NAO at least, and I'll show you the AO in a minute, the Arctic Oscillation, with the North Atlantic Oscillation, you can see temperatures and pressure indexes returning back towards neutral or slightly positive on average. You can see some runs keep us below into a negative phase, but I'd say about 60% return us to a positive NAO phase, which would encourage a more westerly flow, westerly regime, at least for a time. With the AO, the Arctic Oscillation, this also shows a strengthening towards ENSO neutral to slightly, not ENSO, the AO to go slightly positive, again encouraging a westerly flow around the 23rd. And then again, maybe returning towards neutral or slightly negative, weakly negative, but really not a distinctive signal to really say anything about. Next, I want to move on to the stratospheric data because that's in the title, and there's a lot going on. Hello to weather fans Michael as well, and Beans on Toast. Hello to Gav. Hope you're doing well. I heard about that that fall. I hope you're not getting on too bad with that one. Sounded quite nice. You've gone for a lot, haven't you, this year and last year as well. Hopefully things are on the mend for you soon, mate. It's been a pretty bad year, hasn't it? Yeah, we've got the polar vortex at its roots, sat over, the North Pole, and over Greenland. Remember, this is 31 kilometres above the atmosphere. We've got the atmosphere, the troposphere, and the stratosphere. If we see anything in the stratosphere, it can have impacts lower down at the tropospheric level. So we've got a little bit of a warming developing over Siberia. This is for the 17th of November. My eyes are going funny. This is for the 17th of November. And then you can see that warming kind of dissipates and the polar vortex expands. It's strengthening, as you should expect for the time of year. If we go into the longer range with the polar vortex roots, you can see a warming, quite a significant warming. Nothing too major, but a significant warming developing over the Siberian parts. That's pushing towards the polar vortex, or tries to. But you can see that it is starting to weaken. So you can see at the core it's about -72, which is a little bit above what you'd expect. Now, I wouldn't say that, I'd say that could be a sudden stratospheric warming, but I doubt it. What you really want for a sudden stratospheric warming, and a major one, which could be consistent, is for this blue, which is the polar vortex at its roots, to kind of be split, displaced, and it's not really being displaced that far. You can see that there is warm air over the North Pole, but it's not really doing enough. Now, this has been a talking point. We could see the earliest stratospheric warming ever, but it could also flip, and you'll see from the ECM zonal wind forecast, this is from yesterday, from Friday the 14th. I'm not sure if a new one's come out. I'll have a refresh. Not quite. But you can see that the runs are getting very close to bringing it down to this zero line. If it goes below the zero line, that is a technical reversal of zonal winds and a technical sudden stratospheric warming. Have a quick drink. But you can see just about gets there, and it remains there for a few days, but the polar vortex does recover in the longer term, but generally it does look very weak. And I wouldn't rule out the chance of a sudden stratospheric warming. I think it is a possibility, and it's something to watch. It's very close, though. It doesn't look like a one that's going to go down to -10 with the zonal winds and completely destroy it. It doesn't look that major. Maybe in a few weeks' time it could, around the 26th or the 28th to 30th. There are quite a few runs going down again. Maybe it could be a maintained weakened zonal winds, could be a maintained stratospheric warming for a few days to even a week, maybe longer. But it's definitely one to watch. It's very interesting to see how the runs are developing it, I have to say, and it's always a talking point. So yeah, that's just something I wanted to cover. If you wanted to give me a probability of by the way, of snow across the UK, obviously in Scotland you're best placed. Yeah, technical SSW very close there. Yeah, it's not far off, Gav, but I'm not sure. It's very close. You can see it's down to about to about 1 meters per second in terms of zonal winds, which is very close. That wouldn't take much to adjust. You can see about 50 to 60% of the runs are below that line. That thick blue line is your average, by the way, which is what we're looking at. But you can see after that, though, around the 28th of November, there are quite a few runs also showing the zonal winds below zero as well, which would be a technical stratospheric warming and could have impacts down the line. Remember, the lag time from the stratosphere to the troposphere to where we could see impacts is around 2 weeks. So you wouldn't expect anything until the second week of December, probably at the earliest, which would fit in with Sendit's December forecast when I said second week of December would be the interesting point. But there you go. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But yeah, that's an interesting talking point to think about. So, we'll have a look at the diagrams over the next few weeks. We'll go to Buxton today, why not? It's a pretty high elevation area. And I'll just adjust things. Nice to see everyone in here as well. Loads of people in the chat, really nice to see. Cheers all. Didn't expect the stream to be so big, and I'll have a read through the chat now. I've gone through everything. Let's move that there. Someone's got the paprika chips. Oh, that's weather fans. Hello to you. Yeah, that sounds nice. I've got my got my my knickknacks, but I'm not going to eat them on stream. I'm not rude like that. Danny, I love snow. I doubt that, Andrew. I know what you're like. You hate snow. You're like the Grinch of snow. You absolutely hate it. Oh yeah, there was that really bad flooding yesterday from Storm Claudia, which is how you pronounce it, not Claudia. Claudia. Very bad flooding. I heard totals of up to 100mm in some parts. It should have been a red warning, in my opinion. Let me know what your thoughts were, but I did see some very high rainfall totals. Even here, it reached 50 to 60mm. So yeah. Who likes to send it to Scandi T-shirt? Yeah, me. AMOC collapse very unlikely in the near future. What? AMOC or the collapse very unlikely in the near future. 30 degrees in April possible. I hope not. I hope that would just ruin the seasons for me. The record is 19.9 degrees. Records could be broken with climate change. They could, Alex. Yeah. And I'll get into the whole climate change because that opens a right debate up, and I'm not willing to open that. Either Send It has a squeaky chair or he has budget. I can tell you, mate, that's both. I do have a squeaky chair, and I also have squeaky Squawky Doris. So there you go. So talking about that, SSW is definitely possible. It's one to monitor over the next few days is what I'd say on that one. Anyway, looking at the current temperatures for Buxton, we can see that we're about to drop below average, and that actually has changed a lot in the medium term between the 23rd and 25th of November. Some runs are now extending out the cold spell longer than was anticipated, which Met Office did mention in their roundup. If you were watching the live stream, they did said there was like a distinct possibility it could stay colder for longer. Now the runs have flipped to favour that. If you look at the midnight runs, we were looking, well, around average to slightly above, but now they may be keeping the cold for longer. We'll have to see how that flips and flops. But yeah, so we're going colder than average. Looks pretty cold. -5 is the threshold for cold weather in the UK that we typically use. You can see it's dropping to around -7. There is that brief uptick you see there, going up to about -2.5 to -3, and that's that low pressure system moving through the UK, and obviously that bringing the milder air with it. As it clears through, then the cold northerly winds return and the temperatures start to drop again. That's what it is, and that sort of air mass is not likely to produce much in the way of snow as it's clearing through because of the time of year. It's a bit too early. Maybe over your highest ground, maybe Buxton will see some snow because it's higher elevation. Places above 400 metres, probably guaranteed to see some as that low pressure system clears through. But at lower levels, probably some sleet, maybe a bit of rain. I wouldn't say too much. But yeah, you'll have to see how that develops. So yeah, generally returning to around average in the longer term with a lot of scatter. Got some quite mild runs in there and some cooler / colder runs in there. Looking at the snow row for the snow depths for Buxton, you can see, and you can't see the full chart, but I've got to be honest, there's not much to see here that you can't see. There's a couple of spikes. They don't look anything too ridiculous. One's going for 27 centimetres there. That's pretty unreasonable. Can see there's about a 50% chance of falling snow in Buxton. That's not accumulating snow probably. But there could be a little bit of snow, I suppose. But I really wouldn't expect too much, if I'm being honest. Moving further southwards, if we move to London, because a lot of people like knowing about London and stuff. There's a couple of snow spikes. I suppose it couldn't be ruled out at the odd flake in the suburbs of London. But yeah, I wouldn't really count your chickens there. Doesn't look cold enough, really, I'd say, for snow. It needs to be about -6 at the time of year. Got to remember though as well, London probably sees the rain because of all the because it's very well populated, isn't it? So it's harder for it to fall there, maybe. And you got to remember as well that if you're wanting settling snow, it's most likely to accumulate overnight. During the day, probably some wet snow, some sleet to lower levels, and some rain mixed in as well. During the night, though, maybe might turn more wintry as the temperatures do begin to drop. So from like 5 p.m. onwards, really does, your chances do really increase. Not saying that's like a forecast or anything, but your chances do increase overnight for snow to at least fall, not accumulate. That's one you have to really be careful about. Have you got any pictures of yesterday's snow? Yes, he has. He's put them in the Discord, Crift. This winter won't be the normal winter we've been recently used to. I agree, Michael. Definitely agree on that one. It won't be. I think, especially December. December's going to be one to watch, in my opinion. And I've said that in my forecast. I think it's going to be the most interesting month. I think it'll stay colder for longer, to be honest. I don't think we'll get mild again for a long period until January. That's a fair point, Nathan. The models have reverted a lot in the last few weeks, which is why they're not really to be trusted. The ensembles, the ones I look at here, where it's got all the runs together, they're not to be trusted because they've done a lot of flip-flopping, as they normally do with cold spells, cold snaps, and they love to return. Their default pattern is returning back to milder conditions, which is what they all try and do from day 10 onwards. They all try and revert back to milder conditions, which is why sometimes colder air holds on for a bit longer than anticipated. But I must say, though, that this, cold from the 23rd to the 25th doesn't look anything remotely bad or significant. It just looks a little bit below average for the time of year. Again, there's a few runs dropping to -5, but I wouldn't say it's anything to pay too much attention to. Just slightly cooler than average. December to remember V2. I'd love to forecast that, Gav. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? December to remember. Get the high pressure to Scandi. Send it to Scandi. Bring down bitterly cold east-northeasterly winds, and we're all set. That could be me. That could be us sorted. I heard all the leaders are going to be talking about the climate change crisis in Brazil. Yes, they are. I did hear about that. It'd be a big conference. I'm not going to get into that, as I said before, but yeah, there is going to be a big conference on that. 2010 is coming. We'd all love to see that. Well, 90% of us would like to see that. The other 10%, not so much, which is fine. They want to see the milder conditions, but we'll see. We'll see how it all develops. Obviously, it's all speculation at this stage, but the stars may align. I'm going to look at my friend then, the CFS, to see if it's showing a white Christmas. Why not? Let's look at the 6Z run. Haven't looked at these since my last video on them, which they definitely got some people annoyed at me. I must say that when I did those videos, but I don't really care. If we skip through them, let's have a look what it's forecasting for December. How's about that? Just a bit of fun, bit of longer range messing around. Do not take this as a forecast. So starting off, it's looking pretty average, isn't it, really? Higher pressure position to the south-southwest, lower pressure to the northwesterly, southwesterly winds, dominating, briefly cooler. There was, I do see a brief ridge through the country on the 7th, but looking pretty mild, very mild into the second week of December. Higher pressure to the southeast, lower pressure out to the west of the UK, winds in from a proper mild southerly direction, I should say. What more do you say? Mild. That would just be very typical of the UK. Very mild. Very mild. Oh, wow. Yeah, very mild. Higher pressure does try to get further northwards, but doesn't really. Just kind of sits over the top of the country. Possibly a few overnight frosts. Oh, yeah, let's look. All the cold air. Here's what you could have had. All the cold air goes into Eastern Europe. Scandi, yep, love it. -10 line through Scandi and Norway, Denmark, Sweden, all those places, parts of Western Russia, and look at the UK. Oh, look, it's mild. Get in. You can see a cold plunge, though, into Eastern Europe. But the UK, as usual, sitting on the mild side. That wouldn't surprise anyone, would it? Can see that there's Christmas Day, and that looks pretty unsettled. Low pressure in from off the Atlantic. It looks pretty westerly flow, pretty westerly flow, pretty mild, pretty mild. Winds in from the west, Atlantic driven, right off. The cold is pretty mild there. Going beyond that, well, you can see polar vortex is very strong up to the north, and we are just favouring low pressure systems moving in. That would be a very typical winter. Higher pressure trying to get going to the east, but doesn't really. Trying to send it to Scandi, doesn't quite happen, and this will be an absolute write-off winter to forget. I would never show one of these on my CFS videos, that's for sure. That would be put in the bin, and I just wouldn't make a video on it. Apart from that, witness the worst one. You can see at the end of Feb, though, things getting a little bit more interesting. Right when, cold's starting to dissipate. Higher pressure up towards Scandi. Not quite up there, but cold enough. Winds in from an east-northeasterly direction. Probably get the high pressure up towards Scandi by the 3rd of March. Yep, brilliant. And winds are in from an easterly direction. Looking mostly dry in the north. Maybe a few wintry showers in the south. But again, not a forecast, just a bit of fun. But yeah, all the cold and blocking patterns develop into March, as you'd expect. All the mild conditions throughout the winter persist. And yeah, it's very unsettled. To be honest, I'd say screw that CFS run. It's talking out of its bum. They've got to keep it PG. But yeah, that's not happening this year. It's going to be pretty good. December is not going to be westerly flow, high pressure dominated at times, westerly flow, maybe the odd frosty night. Not happening this year. I'm going to say cold December, plenty of wintry potential, not for the north, for the south, because I think high pressure is going to be positioned to the north between Iceland and Scotland for a lot of the time. And yeah, I think easterly winds. This SSW, which a lot of people are saying could hamper the impacts of the other climate drivers, I think it will help personally. But that's just my thoughts, and I'm not going to rant about it today. So yeah, cold December incoming. Yeah, let's see what happens, James. Let's see what happens. But yeah, I'm optimistic for it. The CFS keeps switching to can't forecast and can every day. Yeah, it's pretty bad, isn't it? Be careful driving in ice and snow, because if you have a bump, your insurance will skyrocket. That is definitely true, John. You got to be careful. Got to be careful. In icy and snowy conditions, get your winter tyres on. Although in the UK we don't normally need them, do we? You get about 1 day of snow, so it's not really worth it. But maybe this year we'll all have to get them. Yeah. So that's the live stream today. Hope you all enjoyed it. I've showed everything. I'm just going to have a quick bit of a ramble on at the end and have a read through the chat and see your thoughts. Now, probably will stay mild. Yeah, probably. You know, that will just be typical. What about if you can't drive? Well, I guess you just sit at home. You just sit at home, drink a cup of tea, and you're sorted. Not in Cardiff, because it never snows in Cardiff. We don't get snow, just slush. Where I am in Barnsley, it's not the highest elevation, as some of you know. I would say the name, but I'll probably laugh when I say it's 69 metres above sea level. That is the actual reading. Barnsley itself is about 120, but where I live, it's about 68 metres above, so that's why normally the town centre sees more than us. Usually we see some slushy accumulations sometimes. Never sticks around for long, let's be honest. We got to get the Shane spirit. Yeah. Bring me my wintry weather free. Yeah, we need that energy. I got some free peak rated tyres on the Volvo recently. Nice one. Nice to go out on the miles. Yeah, it is nice to get out there. Oh, did I ever give you a shout out, roaming the Cotswolds? Sorry, I never saw your message. Cheers for joining in. Elevation for me, 40 metres. Yeah, pretty much the same as me. Like, no chance for us. Just fly a drone up. Yeah, I'll fly it up to Penistone, and I'll just see like an absolute blizzard going on over there. And there's just be me sat with the cold rain, crying. I'm 122 metres from the sea. Slipping a fall could put you out of action for it. You certainly could, John. Got to be careful, haven't you? Especially if there's any black ice around. That is the really bad stuff, which you really don't want to be anywhere near. Jody, what is the La Nina doing, please? That's a really good question, Jody. I would show you the charts, but unfortunately, the website I use is kind of broken, and that's what I was messing with earlier. So if I go CFS Nino forecast, and I actually go to the website, which is here, and if I go here, the Nino 3.4, you can see it's not working. But what I will say is La Nina is continuing to strengthen at this time of year. I would show you the other ones as well, but I couldn't get anything to load. I tried to, but it wouldn't load. But the sea surface temperatures are looking pretty interesting. There is a potential for a tripole, and I will mention that in a future video. There is a potential for a tripole to develop, which is warm air to the south of Greenland, and then colder air, and then warmer air. But I'm a little bit sceptical on it, really. Tripoles can help develop, but I don't know, I'm a bit stuck on it. A lot of people are saying it will happen, a lot are saying it won't. Hello, it's nice to see you. Oh, hello, Hazel. Hopefully you're all right. Hopefully your carer's arrived. I'm sure you'll be stressing about that, but I'm sure she'll be arrived on time this time, right? Surely today, definitely. Could be the potential for some streamers. There could be the dangler that people like to talk about. There could be that happen. You never know. But yeah, to answer your question, La Nina is strengthening. It's continuing to strengthen. It will peak by the end of November, start December, and we could see some impacts. Usually, it causes a front-loaded winter, and we could see impacts in December because of it. But yeah, the sea surface temperatures in the Pacific are looking quite cold, even for a La Nina. It actually does look pretty strong, based on previous ones we've had as well. So wait and see how that develops, and I will show that in my next video. But as I said, I couldn't get them to load up properly, so yeah, that's the reason that I haven't showed that in today's stream. But yeah, it's still going through. It still looks pretty good. So I'd say Gav's saying he's going to get his tea and sort out some. Oh yeah, your winter update. I'll be watching that. We'll all be watching that. We'll all be watching that, I'm sure. Everything's going for poor December. No, it's not, Nathan. Stop being the Grinch, all right? It's going to happen, all right? It's going to happen. Ignore the models. Just listen to what I say, you know? I know best. I really don't. I'm just making predictions over here, but it's going to be a cold December. Yeah, cheers for joining, Gav. When you were showing the precipitation forecast earlier, it was showing a Pembrokeshire dangler. Where? It was showing a Pembrokeshire dangler. Yeah, I'm not too sure. It would be quite nice to see one, actually. I do. I mean, I'm not being weird because of the name, but I do quite like the look of it. Yeah, it does look pretty good. Let me see if I can find it, actually. Not the GEM, because that's rubbish, but because it's lower resolution. But let me see if I can find it. So Pembrokeshire dangler is like it's like this sort of formation. It's quite hard for me to explain, but basically it's like this, and it can extend like southeastwards like this. It extends from like Chester southeastwards and Preston, for example. Does this one show it? No. I did see one of them did mention it. Yeah. I didn't look at the icon as well. I'll quickly show the icon and then I'll wrap things up. But yeah, Pembrokeshire dangler could produce a few centimetres in places were it to develop. Still a bit of a way away, though, to say anything with any sort of certainty. Excuse me. But yeah, with the icon, it's been a bit of a Grinch model. Bit of snow for far north of England, central southern belt of Scotland, and of course James's Shed. But on the whole, looks pretty wet, to be honest. It looks pretty rainy. Tuesday looks like a washout for some parts as well, I must say. My forecast app does say pretty wet conditions, pretty cold, wet, damp conditions. With the icon a lot less ambitious on snow cover and snow rates. You can see maybe a couple of wintry flurries in the northeast along the highest ground, maybe over Pembrokeshire Mountains and stuff like that, Snowdonia, and obviously over your Ben Nevis, your Scottish Glens, Scottish Mountains, and areas over 300 metres, but really not showing much on there. So yeah, could be the winter of great distress after the budget. Yeah, that's the issue, isn't it? You know, if we get a proper winter, it could cause havoc, and we don't really know if we want that or not, do we? Cheshire Gap, Pembrokeshire dangler just off the Welsh coast in the Pembrokeshire. Yeah, yeah, that's my bad. Cheers for explaining, Michael. I do get them confused. Cheshire Gap one, yeah, I've heard that one before. You know, there's so many different names of things, you do forget sometimes. But yeah, that's all I've got to show for you today. Brilliant live stream, though. I'm surprised to see so many of you in here. One of our biggest streams, one of the biggest streams that we've done in a while, and I do appreciate your continued support. As always, send it to Scandi. We've also almost run out of the mugs. We've got like none left. You've all bought them all, which I do appreciate, of course, but we have almost run out of them. But yeah, thank you all very much for tuning today's stream, and cheers to everyone for commenting and joining. It's been a good laugh. Cheers to Barb and Josh for their generous donations as always. And yeah, well, join the Discord. James has just sent a link to it. If you want to keep up with all things, send it. And I'll see you all in the next one.